How do you think gender has influenced your career in ways that have both created unique opportunities, but obviously unique challenges as well?
In general, my gender has been an advantage for me. I know at the time I got into graduate school, they wanted more women getting PhDs at Harvard, and even though I think I was qualified, I think my gender helped me. I know when I was hired at the Harvard Business School that they really wanted women, and my gender helped me. And when I was tenured, it helped me. So I don't think I've gotten where I have solely on the basis of my gender, but I think it has been something on the resume that certainly helps. What I look at in the book, and what I really didn't realize until later in my life, is that my gender has also hurt me. Not so much in the career sense, but just because my life, like that of most working women, whether they're in high-powered jobs or lower-level, entry-level jobs, my life is complicated by the fact that I'm in the workforce and a mom and a wife, and there's only so many hours in the day. And I think that's the harder part of being a working woman for me.
You were a very young professor at the Harvard Business School, one of few women, and actually your first year you were even pregnant with your second child. Yeah. How did gender influence that experience for you at an institution that was and still is very male?
It was tough. And I think it's only in some ways later, looking back now, that I really do realize how tough it was. Because at the moment, I just kind of went through it. But my first year at HBS, as you mentioned, I was pregnant. I was also only 27. And so I was the same age as most of my students. And I was the only pregnant one in the room. And I certainly didn't look like what they imagined they would be getting as a Harvard Business School professor. And it was hard. It was just a really tough couple of years.
What made it so challenging, and how do you think that shaped you from a leadership perspective?
Well, I think, and I've said this before, in retrospect, I was raised by wolves. So having that as my first real job experience, it gave me the resilience, it gave me the strength, and I was incredibly lucky that I had a number of mentors, most of whom were male, just because it was such a male place, who really not just took me under their wing, but helped me. The classroom at HBS is just a tough environment. It's a very competitive, very aggressive environment by design. But kind of once you learn how to master that, which eventually I did, then there's few other things in life that really kind of intimidate you.
You talk a lot about the quest that women have for perfection in their lives, that they can't necessarily do it all. Describe that paradigm and how women navigate all that they want to do, and how sometimes that's also a disservice to them.
Right, and this was something that I really thought more and more about as I wrote the book. And I really began to realize that I wasn't alone. And in fact, I shared a very, very common reaction, that I somehow thought I had to do everything and do everything well. And I think many women of my generation suffer under that same illusion, because it really is an illusion. And I really see it in my students who are a generation or two younger than me now, that so many women really feel that they have to be perfect in school, not just good in school, but perfect, straight A's in school, that they also have to look beautiful all the time, that they also increasingly now have to be great athletes, that they have to be philanthropic, that they have to be nurturing. There's a whole series of avenues in which women feel not just that they have to participate, but that they have to be stellar. And that's a real problem, because nobody can do that.
You talk about also in your book that when it comes to the workplace, you can't make it a personal environment. What's one of the strategies you've used to not take things in your professional life so personally, and why do you think women in particular struggle with that so much?
I don't know why women struggle with it so much, but I think we do. And I think part of it may be, or at least speaking personally, that a lot of girls are raised to be liked. Girls sort of pick up either from their home environment or from the ether or from the classroom, make sure you're not being mean, make sure you're apologizing. And I think we do grow up believing that we need to be liked. And that's a tough characteristic to take into the workplace, particularly as you start to rise through the ranks. It's probably a good tendency at entry level, but it's harder as you move into leadership positions. And one of the best advice I ever got was from someone who knew me when I was quite young and just starting my career. And at one moment when I was having a very bad day, he said, just remember to go into that meeting and smile. He said, don't give in, don't make concessions, but just smile. And I remember that all the time. And crucially, it's not about saying, yes, you're right, I give everything up. But when you're having a tough conversation, just keep smiling. And it actually changes your demeanor, and it enables you to try and, at least enables me, to remain professional, even if what you really want to do is break down in tears. But that's rarely a good career move.
You say that women shouldn't cry in the workplace. People are on both sides of the fence on that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Clearly there will be moments of true tragedy in anyone's life, and you have to respond whatever suits your personality style. But I do think it's useful to keep perspective that most things in our careers are not actually tragedies. You know, a bad performance evaluation, a fight with your boss, over the course of your life, that's not really a tragedy. You know, tragedy is when people you love get hurt or killed. Workplace issues, they're workplace issues. They're not core to your life. And I think trying to keep that perspective is very, very helpful. You know, if you really had a miserable day at work, go home and cry. Call your best friend, call your mother, throw yourself on your couch, but try not to cry in the office. It doesn't deserve it.